Welcome to Midlife Catalyst, a place where ordinary people share extraordinary stories. I'm Amanda Yance, and today's episode embodies everything I hope to bring with this podcast. While I may have technical difficulties, there is no difficulty in the level of radical honesty and resiliency shown by today's guest. Vulnerability warning, we do talk extensively about death, grief, faith, and religion. Being open to listening and understanding these concepts is necessary for post-traumatic growth. VerCora Johnson is our guest today, and while her life is unique, it resonates with the experiences of many. As a young person, she was full of confidence until she became a humbled mother at just 19. The challenges of single motherhood taught her invaluable lessons and drew her closer to the Lord. His guidance is remarkable, and she can truly say that motherhood transformed her life in profound ways. She is a published author, a wife, a mom, and a fierce believer. Please welcome our guest, VerCora.
I like that introduction. It's beautiful. Thank you.
We just met today. We have a lot of mutual acquaintances. We're from the same small town and a lot of same circles. Your story really started from the time you were 7 years old, in that your mom and your older brother passed, and that you and your younger brother and your dad were left to proceed forward. From a very young age, you've had a lot of grief and heartache, and talk about that.
You're right. From a young age, 7 years old, definitely changed my outlook on life. Being at that age, for me, one thing changed is like, 'cause my mother, before she passed away, her and my brother were on their way to a funeral. Our current pastor had passed away. So they were on their way to his funeral, right? Before she leaves, she tells me, I want you to wear this for my funeral. So I'm like 7 years old. I kind of don't understand what she's saying. I heard what she said, but I did not understand what she was saying. Plus, people were at our house. So I remember being a child, being outside playing with balloons, and her calling me into the house and like, if I pass away, I want you to wear this at my funeral. I was just in a wedding. So it was like a little cute little white dress, white socks, white shoes, wear this, and just like, okay, mama, kind of get ready to run back outside with my cousins. That was the last time I see my mother. Days passed, because my dad was a truck driver. When he comes back and he tells us, I knew something happened. I didn't know what, because the time frame was too long for me not to see my parents. We were staying with my mom's mother. That's who we spent the night with. So when they explained what happened, I'm just shocked, of course. But then I thought about what she said. So that always stuck with me years down the road. I was like, well, why would she say that to me? And how did she know that? My faith in God was like, I know God's real, because how else would she have gave me this information without giving me this information? So I definitely believed in God. Mother was very spiritual. Both my parents were. Bible study all the time. She would sit us down. We had this big Bible. We read it. So definitely knew about God at 7 years old. Did I understand everything? No, I didn't. But I was like, okay, I believe, he took my mom away. She's in heaven, but I'm just like, life is hard. Why would you make life hard? I see my dad cry. I see my brother cry. I was like, well, if that's love, I don't want love. Right then at 7, I knew I did not want to get married. I knew I did not want to have children. I was like, that's love. I don't want anything to do with it. It's strange for a 7-year-old to think that, but that's how I thought. All the way until I'm like 18 years old, meet this little boy, and I end up getting pregnant and having my daughter at 19. And I found love all over again. So having Elijah was like the best thing to me in the world. Because that's like, your heart being broken and then having a whole new heart when I had a child. Like, she loved me, I love her back, just like my mom loved me, and I love my mom back. So it was definitely a healing having a child at 19. I know it might sound strange to people, but it helped me so much because it was motivation, and you look at love differently. Made me want to get married. Call myself being engaged at that time, but I was young, no clue. I was definitely like full of life then by having her. So sad part losing my mom, but having that child at a young age, it totally changed the direction of my life.
My parents died and I had to find something. For me, it was sobriety, but it had to be something to be able to have them come back through to experience the world. Does that make sense? And so it sounds like having your daughter brought your
Yes.
mom back
Close.
to coming through closer. You talked about your mom instilled the Bible study and
Yeah.
everything from a very young age. Was there a time in there after she passed that you lost any faith or questioned that?
So it's weird because shortly after she passed away, I ended up like finding my salvation, getting baptized. I remember that phase of my life. I knew the Lord as my Savior. Truly, did I have this relationship with Him? No. I feel like what I knew of Him from 7 to let's just say 19, I knew the practice of religion. I knew to go to church. I knew about reading my Bible. I knew about praying to God. I'm not saying that I didn't have any interactions with Him throughout that time. I believe I did and I can remember things, having a strong relationship with Him. No. And I feel like that's how I kind of fell in the trap of how the enemy. There's different parts of your life where it can be a good part of your life and it can be a down part of your life. The enemy will try to open any door he can to get you. I guess I could say like if my situation dealing with loss, for my heart to be that broken at a young age, it was his opportunity to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to grab her now. It's a door for me to try to get her. There's a door for me to try to get her. This is my opinion. I look at life. I believe that to some people, it's like, oh, it's crazy. This girl's having a baby at 19. I really believe that was God was like helping her. This is me slowing her down. This is me giving her perspective. This is me showing her what a true relationship looks like. This is someone that's coming from her. We're all from God. We're children of God. Sometimes you don't understand that type of relationship until my perspective with me, until I had a child. It's like I felt true hurt. Because, having kids is wonderful, but they can also do things to hurt you too. So, not purposely, but it's just what happens. They speak their mind. They're very vulnerable. They haven't been tainted. So they just kind of say, and some of the stuff they say can kind of sting. A lot of it's a reflection. I'm trying to get mad at you, but God forgives me every day. He forgives me every day. Hold on to something a child done. When you're a parent, you start to realize the relationship between the father and you and then your child and you. It's tied together a lot. That's why I say having a relationship totally changed my life. Totally changed my relationship with God. I had somewhat of a relationship with God, but when I started doing my own thing, sex before marriage, I didn't truly know who God was. And I look back on my life, you were lost. People trying to help you, but you were lost. You having a daughter, it slowed you down so much. You had to really think about everything. I wanted to give her a good life. I had to really look at my life and think of my next moves to provide for her. So, long answer, sorry.
No, I love the answer because I am fascinated with how people persevere and move forward and what it is that keeps them going. I want to give this information to people. I want to share the experiences because you've had to endure some major heartache tragedies to get to that point. So the question I keep seeking is, do we have to go through something bad before we have our connection with the Lord, have our spiritual awakening, get to that true purpose of life, which you had a great thing in having your daughter, but then there was bad. That's where it leaves me questioning, can we share the stories and people have that, aha, I need to get my life right and find my purpose now? Or am I going to wait until whatever the bad is, because we're all at some point going to hit it.
Right.
If you're a true, human with feelings and emotions and connections, unless you just shut yourself off, you're going to feel it. But can we preempt that in some way? That's why I love to hear the story, or any ways, which I think you did. I mean, carrying on, there were a million ways you could have gone at 19. I don't see having a child bad at all. I worked in schools for 25 years. I saw a lot of ways kids could go. and it wasn't turning out as well as you have. So those are the pieces of you had to deal with a lot of hard early.
I say that a lot. Yeah, that is so good that you said that because at an early age, I had to deal with a lot. When we fast forward just a little bit, it's like if I hadn't dealt with what I dealt with in the past, because I mean, there's other losses throughout that time, and even up to losing Alasia that I had to deal with that I felt like broke me. My mother's mother passed away when I was like in high school. Both of my grandmothers were everything. I love my grandparents. Let me say that. Love them on both sides of my family. Now I held closer to my mother's mother, of course. I mean, she looked like her. She was caring like her. She sounded like her. Of course, I'm gonna gravitate to my mom's mother. And when I lost her, that hurt. To be honest with you, uh, there's a lot of stuff I don't remember. Like a little bit before she passed, I put in the back of my mind from the time she had a stroke, coming home, having a nurse, like just a blackout period in my mind, and then her passing away. There's parts of my mind that I block things off because it hurt so bad because that's my mom's mom. To me, that was like the last connection to a mother figure as far as like someone from my mom. Even though my dad got remarried and I had a stepmom, and she was a great woman. She's like a bonus mom, great woman to me. But I had lost that woman after I lost my mom years later. It hurt real bad. I realized, oh, you cut off a lot of pain because maybe in my young age, I felt like maybe I was like going to be overloaded. I couldn't tell you why I did what I did, but my mom cut it off. That happened. I lost another grandparent, and in 2017, I lost my mother's father. He was 96 years old. Great man, walking, riding horses. He's a cowboy. I love that man, but when that man passed away, because I watched him as he just slowly started declining, it broke me. It broke me in such a way where I could not stop crying when I ended up going back to work. So took a little time off, went back to work, and I'd be in the office working. Tears would just flow down my eyes. You could be talking about apples and oranges, anything. I work for a transportation company. You could talk about anything. Tears would flow. I mean, it got to the point I could not control it. So I ended up getting counseling. Super big on counseling, but I don't know why I didn't think about it. Ended up getting counseling, and two things she said. She said, I think the reason why you're crying is because your body, after you explained everything to me, your body is releasing. Like it can't take anymore. Like your body has to let it out. That's why you're crying out of nowhere. I could be walking, tears just flowing. So she's like, so much happened to you from a young age to where you're at. Your body can only take so much. I learned that my body's just gonna do whatever my body's gonna do. And two, we broke down what being strong looked like. I only seen my grandpa cry 2 times. He cried when his wife passed, which was my mother's mother. He cried then. The last time I seen him, so maybe 2 days before he passed away, I seen him in the nursing home and felt like that was going to be the last time I saw him. Gave him a hug and I whispered something in his ear and then just like a tear came down. The last time I seen him cry. This man is 96 years old. At the time, I'm probably like 30 something. For me to say I've never seen my grandfather cry except 2 times, in my mind, I had built up what being strong looked like. Being strong looked like being solid, being black, holding in your feelings, not letting everything go out. You have to take care of this. You're a single mom. You can't break. That's what strong looked like. And in that moment with that counselor, she was just like, you need to redefine what being strong is. You need to redefine what being vulnerable is. So I redefined what that looked like. So being strong no longer was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to hold on to my feelings. Being strong meant I'm going to let it out. I'm going to be myself. And that's law. And with God made me stronger for 2021 when I lost Malaysia. That's my only child. I'm not having any more children. That's not something me and my husband want to do. We discussed this while we were dating. I'm not having any more children. When I found out Alasia passed away, I was at the hospital in the hallway and I just sit there for a little bit and I just took a deep breath. That's what I remember most, just sitting there taking a deep breath. I still didn't cry in that moment. I just sit there and was just like letting myself breathe, like letting myself feel. A lot of people don't know. I didn't get to see my child. This was a little bit after COVID. So she passed away early in the morning. They took her to another place, another city. So I didn't see my daughter until a day before we had her funeral. I'm sitting there in the hallway, like having to process, okay, she's gone, but you can't see the body. But you have to trust these people that she's really gone. You have to trust that your husband seen this car in the accident. You have to trust what everybody's saying, but you can't see it. That's like God in your face. Have I seen God? No. Do I know what God looks like? Have no clue. But I trust that Bible, the Holy Bible. I trust the relationship that we have. I trust the love that he's given me throughout my whole life that played into effect the day I lost a lady. It's like, you have to trust and have faith in these people that you don't even know, even though this sounds crazy that you just lost your child. Even though they're saying she passed away or she had an accident at 9, she passed away at 10, and here it's 4 o'clock and you're just now finding out. You have to trust all these crazy things that people are telling you that don't make any sense to you. But you have nothing else to lean on. Like I had nothing else to lean on to go against it. And I can't go around demanding like, oh, I see this body. I see it right now. This COVID is still a thing. I couldn't go to the morgue and be like, let me see my daughter. I don't care what people say that they would do. In a moment, you got to respect the moment. You got to respect authority. You got to trust it. Later on, there were things that clearly showed me, okay, she passed away until the day we go to the funeral home and see her. But I had to trust all those things. I'm saying this to just say that God has a way of using bad things to bring you closer to him, has a way of using bad things to open your eyes and to take off the layers. Because when a laser died, you talking about layers of covers, whatever you want to call it, skin. I seen the world different. You might as well said I had eye surgery. I seen life totally different. I could hear totally different. I never had experienced that before, like with the loss of my grandfather or my mom. I think throughout the years, he slowly was taking off layers. But at the same time, I slowly kept putting stuff back over myself, back over, you know. But when I lost Elijah, I was like, oh no, life is different for me. My relationship with God is different. You could never get me to go back to the old record in a million years. Life is totally different. He does that to get you closer to him. He'll do whatever he has to do. That's what people don't realize. God will do whatever he needs to do to get you closer to him. He's not going to go against himself, but he'll do whatever to get you. It's just a part of his nature because he loves you that much. We just have a weird perspective of love. Like sometimes I feel like people don't really know what love is. We think we do, but until you go through some hard stuff, it's love. Like my husband, he was married before me. His wife, she had cancer. She went through chemo. She ended up passing away from cancer. He had to watch what love looked like and stick in person. They was married for 18, almost 20 years, I believe. Yeah, that was love. Love is not always pretty. It's not always perfect. It's not. It can get ugly, but it's having that faith and sticking with it. That's why I was like, people have a weird perspective of love and what love looks like. I believe in God. Love should be great. Where do you get that from? That's not what, that's how people lose a lot of believers, or I'll say Christians. That's how you can lose some Christians because you think since you are saved and you have this relationship with God, that life's gonna be perfect. I'm like, oh no, no, no. You probably gonna go through more stuff now than you did before.
You have said so many nuggets. I'm going to start with the trust. You talked about you don't see God, but you do write about the butterfly.
Oh yeah.
Talk about the butterfly appearing and what that has symbolized for you.
I've seen butterflies all my life, know about butterflies. The day after my daughter was buried, I went back out to the gravesite. Me and my daughter always had, like, I call them sports chairs, little foldable chairs in my trunk. I'm real country like that, but I got my chair and my water and my little fly hitter. So I go just sit at her grave right when I sit down. It's like this bright, I mean, very bright. I can still see it to this day. Very bright orange butterfly. A little bit of red in it. It just kind of like flies this way on my right shoulder, then comes on the left side and just keep going up high to the sky. I was just like, wow. That time I was like, all right, I know that's you. Look, I know that's you. Like, we would talk like, I wouldn't say we talk as best friends, talk as mother and daughter, because there's a lot of respect in that aspect. I was just like, girl, I know that's you. It's okay. I'm okay. It's going to be all right. I was just like talking to her as if she was there. kept seeing butterflies after that moment. I would know. The other day I seen a butterfly driving home. I would see them. I would see red cardinals on the fence on our porch. Sometimes at that moments when I might need, I don't want to say a sign, more like maybe relief. Everything's okay. If I might be sad and trying to push through something, at first it was because of her loss. I would see butterflies and red cardinals. Now I see them and it's more like, I'm about to go into the next chapter. There's about to be another phase. It might be hard, but you're going to make it. That's when I see butterflies now. Still see them to this day. Super beautiful. I try to write down when I see them. Date I see them, like colors. And most of the time, it's always kind of like orange or maybe a red one. I see them a lot. It went to my nephew's football game, like land on my chest, but it came real close and just flew right up there. I mean, just most beautiful thing that you would ever see. It just gives you like some hope and lets you know that you're not alone. And it might sound silly to some people, but it's just like butterflies. Like this, I don't believe in coincidence. And it's so like impactful. It means something. I'm very eager to see the next one. You have no idea. I look forward to seeing the next one, but it just brings me a sense of joy.
I think if it sounds silly to someone, then their eyes are not open to the world and reality. You have such clarity in what you see and how you show up and interact in the world. And it's because you've done the work. You talked about going to counseling, and I don't know if you've heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score. I don't care what you do, you cannot control it. If you don't release it, it's not a one and done. That's what people don't get about death. They will do okay, you go to counseling for 6 weeks after. No, it's a continual revisit.
Yeah.
It's a continual process, and you continually have to let your body release those emotions when they feel it and when they need it, because otherwise it will destroy you.
Yeah, it will break you down.
People don't understand that. You were talking about work, and this is a big thing, frustrates me, of people are great in the moment. You know, you get your bereavement leave, you get your 2 weeks, you do your things, and then they're just moving on with their life. They might, on an anniversary or something, do a little check on you, but that's not how it works. You carry those losses, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I carry those losses with me every day in everything I do. It's how I show up in the world, and you cannot control when that happens of, oh, this one time a year I'm going to cry.
No, you can't. After my grandfather passed in 2017, my stepmother passed in 2019 from cancer, and she was my best friend. That was my best friend. It hurt in a type of way where I had the tools from when I went to counseling with my grandfather. Me and my daughter both went to counseling, and I had tools, but we went back into counseling again when my stepmother passed away. And that's the only grandmother my daughter would ever know, because, you know, she never got to meet my mother. So it hurt her too, but we had different ways of like dealing with it. And I was very vocal on expressing how I felt about my stepmom. Like if I wanted to talk about my stepmom, I just talked about her to my daughter or to my dad, whoever. I said how I was feeling, because when my grandfather passed away, there was a lot of stuff I kept inside. That was what I was trying to do. You gotta keep some stuff inside. You don't make other people cry, because that's another thing, that we hurt ourselves because we train ourselves to keep our emotions in and not tell people how we really feel, because we feel like we're doing everybody a favor by not showing our emotional side. But really, you're hurting them, because they want to talk about the person just as much as you do, maybe at different times in their life, but they still want to talk about the person. So if you shut yourself off from talking and then they feel like they can't talk, we're not doing ourselves any good. We're really hurting ourselves. And so me and my daughter learned how to talk to each other. Like, oh, you know, my stepmother's name was Pauletta. Oh, I was like, I miss Pauletta. She's like, yeah, I miss grandma. We'll talk about stuff and laugh. Oh, you remember when grandma took this? We would just talk about it. And then I might be sitting there. She's like, hey, mama, what's wrong? Oh, I'm thinking about, you know, your grandma. And I'll start crying, you know, and I would let her see me cry. So it's just like, it's okay to feel, because I didn't want to teach her oh, you have to be strong. You have to be this way. Because then I'm not setting her up for success. When my daughter passed away, I let myself cry. My family's great. Like, for instance, like Brandy and Sean's daughter, she had a birthday party. Months later, Layla passed in the summertime, like in June. And Brady's birthday party's in August. Nobody treated me differently. I had some people treat me differently. I didn't know how to navigate in that space. They were like, "Nicole, we're having the birthday party, but we know you and your husband more than welcome to come." So of course we're gonna come, and we went. So I see all these kids that Alasia grew up with, because like Brandy and Sean would have picnics and stuff at their house. So everybody and their family and friends would come. So I've seen a lot of the kids throughout the years. They're growing up, Alasia's growing up. So when I see the kids, I see Alasia with the kids, even though physically, she's not there. Spiritually, I can see her walking around, jumping in the pool, laughing, eating hot dogs, all the things like everybody else. So I'm seeing this with my eyes and I start crying. And it's not like, let me run away and cry. I'm going to just cry. It's not like I want attention. It's like, if I try to hold this in and hide this from y'all, then y'all think, oh, of course, doing great. She's doing fine. I don't even check on her anymore. I'm like, no, I got to let you see my truth. I might go into the swimming pool bathroom and like clean myself up, but I'm gonna come back out and you're gonna see the tissues and now I'm crying. That was being vulnerable to me because that's my day to day. Why should I change the way I am because I'm at a birthday party? Or why should I change because I'm at a Christmas party and it's bringing memories? I have to be me. This is like my life. This is my new normal. This is your new normal. This is my new normal. So I have to feel. And the more I let myself feel, the more I was able to work in the healing process. Because will I ever be healed from it? I can't say that until I get over to heaven. But, will my heart, will it get a little bit better? Yeah. So I'm just like, I have to feel to get better. But if I don't feel, I'm going to break. I'm going to go crazy. So I just let myself feel. And I'm glad I did because this loss was totally different than when I lost my grandfather. Like, I don't want to go back to like emotional thing where you're just crying out of nowhere and you're trying to stop things. I'm like, just let yourself be. Cry and talk and laugh, and if you're gonna be sad, be sad. That's just life. I don't understand why we gotta go through different spaces trying to alter our feelings for the world. It's crazy.
It's
But we do that.
exhausting. We do, and it's exhausting, and I'm tired of doing it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of my motivation for what I'm doing in life now. And we get a Draley shout out on the podcast. I want to do an episode just with me and Draley talking because
Yeah.
that's going to be so good. Yes. I mean, she could probably host the whole thing. You talk about showing up to the birthday party. You did write about your inner circle,
Mm-hmm.
and you do have to discern those spaces of Brandy and Sean's, they've got my back. This is going to be okay. Or like for me, I'm just not going to go to this event, not because I don't want to, but this circle hasn't shown up for me enough to show
Right.
I'm going to be safe there.
But just being honest, I have some friends that we weren't able to grow. I'm not going to say they fell off because we're still friends. True friend is still a true friend. There are some people that are not able to go into the next space with you. They're not a bad person. Sometimes it has something to do with maturity. Sometimes, being honest, for me, spiritual maturity. Some people are not in that space, but you can't knock them for that because not everybody's going to be here. We all go through life at different times. But yeah, there were some people that I would try to explain some things to them or talk about some things to them, and if their response might have been like real surface level, and I didn't get mad. I'm just like, oh, this is a person you can't talk to about this because they're not going to understand it. It's not like you can get mad or frustrated. It's just you see the world differently now. They can't relate. If you don't, push them away, you just got to learn how to navigate with them in that certain space. Like, I've always been cool with a lot of people, friends with people, but it got to the point where it's like my circle went from like this to like small, very small. It's people that do not understand. A prime example, like the day we had my daughter's funeral, I didn't do a lot of crying. People didn't see me cry a whole lot. I really feel like when I was in the hospital, found out she passed away, I really feel like the Holy Spirit kind of took over. Like, okay, you got to do this, 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 this. My family had already dealt with loss, and my family had already dealt with I lost my mom and my brother in a car accident. So now, years later, I'm losing my daughter in a car accident. So to some people, they're just like, oh, I don't understand. This is crazy. It brings back a lot of memories, especially from my mom's brothers and sisters. And probably, I know from my brother and my dad, anybody that knew her, it's like ripping a band-aid because Elijah looks a lot like my mother. A lot of people look at me and be like, oh, you look like your mother, but they see my daughter. That she's Florine. She looks exactly like her. So I felt like it ripped the band-aid off. And I feel like God knew exactly what was going to happen. And he was like, okay, take order in this situation. Not saying I didn't cry and stuff, I did. But at the service, it wasn't about like, crying because, like I said, I hadn't seen Elijah. And people were telling me how bad the accident was. So I was like, oh my goodness. I didn't get to see my mother and my brother. It was really bad. So with Elijah, my mom was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And the guy was telling me, like, you might not be able to see her. We might have to have a closed casket because the people in Texas are saying this. And I'm just, so the day before we go and Elijah is beautiful. I mean, to me, she was beautiful. And so we got to have an open casket. So to me, that was relief. So when we have our service, you're not going to see me going crying because you don't know all the things I had to process. A lot of stuff was not private because I wanted it to be private. It was private because they were still investigating her accident. So I am relieved that she's in one piece. I'm relieved that we made it here. I'm relieved that she's okay. I did the best that I could do as a mother. I know where she's at. I know I introduced her, to Christ. I tried to show her a good example. I showed her I wasn't perfect. This is what you do when you're not perfect. I showed her everything that I could possibly show her. So I felt like I did a job. When we're at a funeral, you're not going to see me you're not going to see me boo-hooing. I'm thankful to God that we're here. I'm thankful for her life, to know where she's at. Now, a couple days or hours later or months later, you might see me boo-hooing. But in that moment, in front of all those people, then feel that urge, but that wasn't me. So like God did that because if people would have seen me break down, I feel like family would have broke down. Because we're responsible for a lot of things. God knows the part that we play in life. So why would he be like, oh, you have her act a fool? I'm gonna have her be so broken in front of everybody so everybody else can be broken. He doesn't work like that. People get to see me cry. Yes. People get to see me grieve. Yes. But one thing they're going to say is like,
You see God in her. You're here. You see God in her.
you see her faith. Her faith is strong. You see that beautiful smile on her face. When you look at all the things that surround it, why would I show up sad when I'm just like, if you only knew I didn't even get to see her, this is the first time seeing her. If you only knew what they told me, the worst of the worst, to see her in one piece, I'm like, thank you, God. That was a blessing in itself. So in that moment, I was more on the rejoicing side than on the mournings. Later on that day, days later, weeks later, maybe I would have been crying. That was more in my home with my husband, someone I could be very vulnerable with, somebody that I could tell the truth to. I feel I could be vulnerable with. But if you were in that inner circle, if you were on the inner circles, why would I share that part? You don't understand it. And I'm not going to be the fall guy for your walk with Christ. You're not going to say, oh, messed up before his life. We have to be responsible, and people don't understand that. People think it's life is all about them. It's not about me. I'm just a vessel. Elijah was a vessel. That's just what life is. We'll use your life to bring him glory. Some of us don't understand that, so we don't understand the purpose in life. I'm just a vessel. He gives me enjoyments in life, but at the same time, there's suffering in this life. I'm like, it's not about me. It never will be about me. It's him. So to show God in this moment, no choice. If it was VerCora, I would have had a choice, but it wasn't. It was not me. I really feel like the Holy Spirit took over and was like, okay, we got to do this, 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 this. When you get home, I'll let you grieve. You can cry. You can go to work this day, not go to work this day, call in, you got to take care of business right now.
You have taken care of business because you've published your ebook. You've published 2 journals that talk about those. I mean, you really are a vessel because you're showing people, here's what I've done with this situation, these really hard griefs, and you're using them to help and guide people. What prompted you to do that?
Always like writing. I actually knew to write, so what feelings. When I did the first journal, I was actually kind of just doing something. I seen these like journals and books, and I was like, I'm not really ready to write. I'm not ready to do that. But I was like, I want to make this journal. I made that cover through a school project. I was like big on women and relationships and my faith. I just dedicated to my daughters. It's big that people write out their feelings. It's important that you're able to express how you feel. I also do like little audio notes on my phone, just saying how I feel if I'm not able to, grab my journal and like write. But it was important for me to do that because you have so many feelings. If nothing is even happening in your world, if it's not a loss, you still have all these feelings to write down how you felt when you were in a loss, happy days, sad days, in between days. It's very important. You can reflect on it because there might be another day that seems just a little bit worse than the other one. So you can reflect on it. And then I did the butterfly journal to that because I had wrote in my other journal when I was seeing butterflies. So I'm just gonna make a cute little journal notebook. I did that. Then over a year ago, I wrote the ebook. Wrote the ebook, settlement. Like why I'm gonna read the ebook all the once a month. I'm going through my computer and I read the ebook. Like you need to put it out there. So put it out there. And I'm super excited that I put it out there. It's short. It has key points in it. But it's like life and people deal with a lot of traumatic stuff. And it's just like sometimes we don't process it and we just give up on life and do some crazy things. But I'm just like life deals with loss. It might be a loss of a person, but you're gonna lose a lot of so you gotta navigate and move through a loss. You can't just give up and be still. I felt like that with some of the friends, like going back to people that weren't in the inner circle. It's sad to say this, but some people want you to fall apart. I don't want to say the word they succeed. People sometimes like to see people fall apart because it makes their life look better. Saying people look at me with the perfect life. My life might be a little bit better than someone else. During that time, I felt people wanting me to give up, to drown in sorrow, to be worse than whatever they imagine. And these are good people, but it's just like there's satisfaction in someone falling, and satisfaction in someone losing in life. It's sad to say that, but it's the truth. There are some people like that, felt like that. That's why I had to start separating myself from people. It's like, you're not crying, or you should be doing this, you should be doing that. I'm just like, you can't tell me you haven't walked in my shoes. You don't know what God prepared me for because honestly, He's been preparing me for this. I don't say ever since I was 7, but He could say my whole life because He knows everything about it. I'm like, you have no idea what I've been through. But if you knew every part of me, then you wouldn't be like, oh, you should be crying. You should be acting a fool. You need to take more time off from work. You need to do this. What? If I do that, I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm not going to move forward if I take your advice. I'm not going to move forward if I let myself just absolutely lose control. It's a moment in a day that I knew what losing control looked like to me. I let myself get too deep into my feelings and thoughts. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was having a conversation in my head, just thinking, hey, God, this is my only kid. I've raised her by myself. At this point, this child has been in my life my whole adult life. I'm just telling you my thoughts, being honest with you. I remember saying to him, I said, he is 18. She died when she was 18, like a month after walking the stage. You let her be 18, God, and 6 months later, you take her from me. Is this how you set me up? Was she supposed to help me in life? And then you take her away? I had just recently got engaged. So to me, that was like another high point in my life. Now I'm like a couple months later, drop thinking all these thoughts. Before I knew it, my hands started shaking. I'll never forget, I remember watching my hands start shaking. And instantly the Holy Spirit was like, stop thinking like that. I feel like that would have been the point where I probably would have drove myself crazy. You start thinking about everything. I got too deep in my thoughts. If you're so deep talking to yourself, you're talking to yourself, that inner person. And that inner person, the Holy Spirit is not saying the Holy Spirit wasn't with me. I'm saying that I'm too deep with that other person. Thinking I can understand more about my life. Only God does. I got so deep. As soon as I see my hands start shaking and I could look down and see my hands shaking, it's like He spoke to me. It's like, stop. no, that's not good. That's not me. You'll never understand this. My ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. You don't understand why this happened. It's not all about you. You had to just redirect me. From that moment, I'm not saying that I didn't have any other times where I had thoughts, but I was better at knowing when to stop thinking and talking to myself. I don't think there's a problem with like talking to yourself, like, talking through things, writing things. But sometimes you try to ask yourself questions that you cannot answer, but you're trying to answer it. It's madness. And so
Oh, I
that
know.
that was like my
I
rabbit moment.
know.
So I had to catch myself. And I haven't let myself go that direction again. So I remember when me and my husband was going to go to the first time seeing our wedding venue, because he pretty much did everything. He was like, okay, let's look at this place. Sometimes I didn't want to go because the other person, which was my daughter, she wasn't going to be there. And I always planned for her to be, at my wedding. We were going to do this together. Well, some things were very hard. He had found a place. Went in my closet that morning. I'm like praying, and I was just like, "Look, God, I'm about to take another step in my life by myself. It's no longer VerCora and Alicia anymore. She's physically not here. Spiritually, I know she's always going to be with me, but she's not here. I'm about to do this step in my life by myself." I was like, "No, you gave me this man, so I'm about to do life with this man." I'm like, "This is all new." So I told him, I said, "You broke my heart." And I mean, it's a very real honest conversation with God. I said, "You broke my heart. Nobody else broke it. You broke it. You allowed this to happen." I said, "And you're the only one that can fix this. I trust you to fix it. If you don't ever fix my heart all the way together, I still trust you." Just like me telling God, like, I don't really like what you did. I don't like that she's gone, but I trust you. I trust you more than anything. So I give you my heart here. I don't have anything else. Like, you got it. You got my heart. And ever since then, it's like, that we just like this. And it's not a perfect relationship. I'm not perfect at all. I mess up all the time. But it's just like, God has my heart. What I thought was physically mine, because we think people belong to us, even our children, like they're ours. They're not ours. She was his. And so I had to like give my heart back. She showed me a sense of love all over again. She gave me like purpose. But really, he put his purpose in her. That love was really him. And so it's like, okay, I feel like you took it away too early. I'm going to give it back to you. So I just gave him back my heart. It was like, you broke it here. You will have to fix it. So I can fix a lot of things, but I said, I can't fix this. Why do we need to lie and be like, oh God, I'm not really mad at you? I'm mad. Hurt. You broke my heart. And that was like probably the realest conversation I ever had with him, was like, you broke it, because he did. I remember like even now I can see myself and feel like the tears coming down my face. I literally like somebody ripping up a piece of paper. Like, you broke it and I can't even put it back together even if I tried. I just gave it back to him, and I feel like he's doing a really good job fixing it. Life looks different to me, but it's changed me. Being a mother, I'll always be a mother. Losing a laser changed me. Getting married changed me. Now I know like that was his purpose, because it broke me. And it's like he made me all over again.
The level of radical honesty, not only that you just expressed here, but that you expressed with God. I love to journal. I love to write. The moment you are fully, authentically vulnerable and honest in your journaling or in your speaking with God is when you're going to fall. People have this view of it's all perfect and we go to church and we kneel and we pray. That's not what the relationship is for you. You have this truly authentic, real, honest conversation, and that's how he works through you and for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Your story and sharing your story is so powerful, and it is doing the work and the purpose to help other people, and you're such a ray of light. The book itself, it's called My Post-Traumatic Growth. I talk to myself more than I talk to anyone else. I get in my head more than anything, and the thoughts go everywhere. Your book is so practical. That's where when I get going off course, I'm like, nope, breathe. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, those
Very
little things help me.
practical. I really appreciate you sharing this work for you.
I was just gonna say, like in the book, I did the table of contents of the chapters like that, because that's how I was in my life. breathe. And I talked about distractions and listening. You can't have a situation happen to you and then you get distracted or start following a different path. Like, you have to breathe through the moment. Even to this day, I still breathe. Like, I'll just take a deep breath. Sometimes we're so quick to move forward. If you breathe, that means you have to pause. That means you have to sit in the moment. So I had to learn how to do that. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of like thoughts that come along the way, and just learning how to navigate through that and just following the direction that he gives you. I feel like he's done that all my life. No matter what happened, whichever way I decided to turn, he would redirect me in different ways. You can look at redirection as like me having a daughter at a young age, dealing with loss. Each time I lost someone, he definitely redirected me and it gave me a different outlook on like life and how I was going to move in life and how I was going to walk in life. Not to take it for granted, because I think sometimes we can plan so far in the future that we don't live in the day. And that's why it's so important to breathe, because if you're always moving, you're short breath. You go to the next thing. But when you're breathing, you live in the moment. You have to like let your body process everything when you're truly breathing. Sometimes we don't know how to do that.
In the summer of 2020, of course, it was COVID, so it was virtual. I did a virtual breath work course. It was like 4 weeks. Night one, I learned quickly I had not been breathing. Like, you are so correct. Like, truly breathing, using your breath for you, to maybe start a meeting, to walk into a birthday party, a hard situation, how I breathe to shut down and go to sleep at night. It's different intentional pieces of breath work.
Right.
And when you don't do that and let your body breathe the proper way, it stores up and builds up inside of you. This past year, I got this, people think it's a vape or whistle. It's my cue. You breathe through it, and to remind myself to breathe. I learned quickly to stop blowing on it in public. I'm like, it's probably more a sign you're getting on my nerves and I need to breathe. I had terrible habits, like bite my nails or pull on my hair. I can just tug on this and go, okay, pause, breathe.
For sure.
But it's truly a deeper level of understanding yourself and recognizing where you are and how you want to show up in the world.
Absolutely. It's funny though, because like my husband, when we first got together, he was like this deep breath. I was like, you need to stop doing that. The audacity of me, but I was like criticize him and I didn't understand it. And then we ended up losing a lady and I started taking deep breaths and I would think about him. It has helped me so much. He's helped me so much, but it's interesting how you could see how God uses people to teach you good lessons in life. You just got to learn how to look at people as a vessel. You can learn a lot. That's why I was like, being a mother taught me a lot. Being a wife taught me so much. But the breathing, I got that from him.
I was so anti, like, oh, that's so woo-woo. And now I'm all about it. He seems like a great partner. You both came into each other's lives for a reason and at the right time.
It's interesting too, because like you never know who God is going to put in your life. You might not understand that some of the things they went through will be the ways that they can help you, and some of the things you went through are the ways that you can help them. He lost both his parents at a young age. I lost my mom and brother, so we both dealt with loss, and then he lost somebody super close to him. Like, I put us together because he's like, I need y'all to be together. Y'all need each other. Somebody else might not be able to understand what y'all been through. It's interesting how God puts people in your life for a reason. I never would have imagined ever meeting or being with someone that has similar situations that I. It's very helpful and supportive through this whole journey, because it hasn't been easy, because I tried to decide to get married after I lost my daughter and trying to be a wife, but I was still grieving. There was times, just to be 100, it was like, shut down. I'm not doing this. I don't feel like it today. I don't feel like showing up and giving you a hug or loving you. In moments thinking of my daughter. It was a lot of that. So our first year and second year were super hard, like, very hard, because it's like, I don't really know how to navigate. I don't know how to deal with this, and I know he still had emotions from his first marriage, losing someone and then going into another relationship thinking, oh, we're on this a wave. We want to keep going higher, higher. And then we lose a latest. Like you don't sign up for that. Nobody signs up for stuff like that. And so it was hard to navigate. Just like, I thank God for giving both of us a forgiving heart and a patient, because I know for me, especially because he's a super sweet guy. He's not perfect, super sweet guy. I've been an ugly person and he's loved me through it. He's like, I don't like you right now, but I'm gonna love you regardless. You're grieving, but I'm gonna love you. Because some people would be like, I'm doing this. Like, I can't deal with this. I just want to be married. Just times I just couldn't really enjoy something. In our fourth year in, it feel like honeymoon for us. Now I'm really able to be in the moment, like not to be in the space together. Before I didn't have to be in the space together. Trying to, now it feels good, but at first it was hard. It was hard getting married that day. It was a beautiful day. It was an emotional day. You can't cut stuff like that. But he's a super great guy. I'm thankful that God put us together. No things haven't been great, but for someone to love you through really hard times when you're probably the next person, whether you're grieving or whatever, knowing he wasn't the best person and he still loved me, makes me be like, oh, I love this guy. Because I know it wouldn't have worked out with anybody else. It took a special person to be in that space. He was a part of that inner circle because somebody else wouldn't have been able to deal with that. And
I'm honored to have you on and share this space with you, and everything you bring. I've learned so much from today's conversation and reading and following you. And I think it says a lot about being in the moment and being open to people. And when a Facebook post comes along, I need to follow that trail because she's got something to teach me.
I'm so honored to be here. When you reached out to me, I was like, wow, this is going to be wonderful because get to share this story. Some of your questions you say about legacy. This is a way that I can share. Years ago, I was like, Alasia, I'm always share your story. And this is a way to share it. That's why it was so important for me to put the book, some words out there to the world, and to be on this with you. I'm so thankful, very thankful that you're here.
You have and you are leaving a legacy, and you're impacting, I know, me and other people of how they move forward and process grief, life, spirituality. You walk the talk. That is what I appreciate.
I appreciate you. It's been a blessing both ways.
Thank you for listening to Midlife Catalyst, a place where ordinary people share extraordinary stories. Today's guest was no ordinary person. Her story is certainly extraordinary, and I am grateful to VerCora for being vulnerable and sharing her experiences with us. To find out more about her journals and ebook, you can visit the show notes, my Substack page at amandayonts.substack.com, or the podcast page at midlifecatalyst.net. VerCora's journals and book are on sale at Miss Honeybee's shop. You can also find her butterfly journal on Amazon. Thank you for listening, and remember to be the author of your own story.